Hello again, boys and girls. I hope you're doing well. I thought we could start our next book. It's book number 2, Mercy Watson Goes for a Ride. I'll bring it in there so you can see it. So, the author is Kate DiCamillo. What does the author do? That's right, the author writes the book. So let's get our writing pens in the air and we say, author. And it says, illustrated by Chris Van Dusen. So if he illustrated the book, he's called an illustrator. That's right. And what does the illustrator do? Yep, they draw and they color the pictures. So we get our paintbrush in the air and we say, illustrator. All right, so let's dive in and let's see what happens in this story. So sometimes when you open up a book, you'll see this. This is called a dedication page. A dedication page is when the author and the illustrator dedicate the book to someone. So that's probably someone very special to them who they wanted to say, hey, I was thinking of you when I wrote this book. Chapter 1. Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson have a pig named Mercy. Every Saturday, Mrs. Watson makes a special lunch. Time for our little Saturday something, Mrs. Watson says. You've outdone yourself, Mrs. Watson. Mr. Watson says. Oink, says Mercy. That is some lunch there, you guys. Look at that. Every Saturday after lunch, Mr. Watson goes outside. Mercy follows him. They stand in the driveway. Together, they admire Mr. Watson's convertible. It's a nice convertible, bright pink. Are you ready? Asks Mr. Watson. Oink, says Mercy. Mr. Watson opens the passenger door. Mercy hops into the car. She sits behind the wheel. She snuffles contentedly. Oh, look at Mr. Watson, though. I think Mercy really wants to drive, but not so much, huh? Chapter 2. Says Mr. Watson, every Saturday. You, my dear, are a porcine wonder, but even porcine wonders cannot drive cars. Mr. Watson gently pushes Mercy toward the passenger seat, but Mercy does not move. She does not want to sit in the passenger seat. Mercy Watson wants to drive. Says Mr. Watson again. He pushes less gently. Scoot over, my dear. Mercy does not move. Help me, Mr. Watson calls out. Every Saturday, Mrs. Watson steps outside. See how they made help me really big? Darling, Mrs. Watson says, if you let Mr. Watson drive, I will make you an extra helping of hot buttered toast. I will have it waiting for you when you get back home. Mercy narrows her eyes. That means they get really, really skinny. You can see her eyes right there. She's like this. Do I believe you? You're going to make me toast. She loves hot buttered toast. She also loves extra helpings. Slowly, very slowly, she moves over to the passenger side. What a dear, says Mrs. Watson. She claps her hands. You are such a good sport, darling. Yes, says Mr. Watson. She most certainly is. He gets in the car and sits behind the wheel. He turns the key in the ignition. The Watson convertible rumbles to life. Chapter 3. Bon voyage. It's like saying goodbye, good luck in French. Mrs. Watson calls, Bon voyage, my dears. When you get home, we will all have hot buttered toast. Goodbye, Mrs. Watson, Mr. Watson shouts. They're getting ready to go for a little cruise. He backs the car out of the driveway very quickly. He does not look behind him. Mr. Watson is a forward-looking man. He does not believe in looking back. Although really you should look behind you when you back out of a car. Am I right? Yes. Oink, says Mercy. Already she is having a good time. And we're off, says Mr. Watson. We're off on an adventure. Her ears flapping in the wind. It's like a text-to-self connection for me. It reminds me of when my dogs like to stick their heads out the window and feel the wind hitting them in the face and making their ears fly backward. They love that. All right. Next time, chapter 4. We'll see what happens in our story, Mercy Watson Goes for a Ride. Until next time, boys and girls, lots of hugs. Miss you. Be good. Read, write, do math, get outside, play, do some art, and have a great time. Miss you bunches. Bye now.